I stood there, sipping champagne alone in my massive villa, staring out the window as my husband and mother-in-law screamed in desperation from the other side of the locked iron gate. They thought they could turn my 30th birthday into a stage for public humiliation by bringing his mistress home, but they forgot one tiny crucial detail: whose name is the only one on the deed. Welcome to Curtain Falls, and this is how I kicked my husband's entire toxic family onto the street in a single night. My name is Elena, I'm 30, and I'm a creative director at an ad agency in Austin, Texas. From the outside, my life looked perfect. I had a blazing career and a stunning four-bedroom Mediterranean-style home that I bought with my own bonuses and savings before I even got married. And then there was Mark, my 32-year-old husband, the man everyone called a romantic artist, but the truth behind those carved oak doors was a sugar-coated hell. For the past 4 years, I have been the sole financial provider for a family of parasites. Mark calls himself a freelance investment consultant, but in reality, his only clients are the sofa and his PlayStation controller. The last time he contributed a dime to our joint account was in 2019. Since then, every bill, electricity, water, internet, health insurance, and even his beer money, has been deducted directly from my paycheck. But the problem wasn't just Mark, it was Linda, my mother-in-law. Linda lives 15 minutes away, but she was in my house so often I felt like I was the tenant. She's the type of woman who smiles sweetly in public but launches toxic comments the second the door closes. She treated my home like her personal resort, and me like an unpaid maid. Let me walk you through a typical morning so you can understand just how thin my patience had worn. 6 a.m. Alarm goes off. I'm up, making coffee, prepping for a stressful 10-hour workday. I walk into the kitchen, and the sink is overflowing with greasy plates and pizza crusts from Mark's midnight feast. He never does the dishes. He claims dish soap damages his sensitive skin. The hands of a 32-year-old man who hasn't done a day of manual labor in his life. As I'm cleaning his mess, I get a voicemail from Linda, not asking how I am, but complaining that I cut the premium cable package. Mark needs sports channels to relieve stress, Elena. You make so much money. Don't be so stingy with your husband. I swallowed my rage and drove to work. All day, Mark texted me, not to ask about my day, but sending a shopping list. Imported craft beer, prime steaks, because he needs nourishment, and expensive hair gel. I got home at 7 p.m., exhausted, dying for a bath. But I walked in to find Linda with her feet up on my expensive glass coffee table, blasting the TV. "You're finally back?" she said without looking at me. "The fridge is empty. Mark and I are starving. What kind of wife lets her husband go hungry?" I looked at Mark, sprawled on the couch next to his mommy, giggling at his phone. He looked up with zero remorse. "Babe, hurry up and cook. Mom wants Italian tonight." That was my life. I was a walking ATM and a full-time maid for two able-bodied adults. I tried to endure it because of my wedding vows, because I feared the stigma of divorce, and because I once loved Mark. But everything changed last week as my 30th birthday approached. I told Mark clearly, no party. I just wanted a quiet day, maybe a solo spa trip and a light dinner. I was tired. I was exhausted from carrying the world on my shoulders. But Mark and Linda had other ideas. "No way!" Linda screamed. 30 is a milestone. We have to go big. I'll handle everything. You won't have to lift a finger." I was naive enough to believe her. I thought maybe, just maybe, they wanted to do something nice for me. I was wrong. "I'll handle everything" in Linda's dictionary meant she invited her friends, strangers to me, chose the most expensive menu, and sent the bill to me. 3 days before my birthday, Mark handed me invoices totaling $5,000. "Just pay it, babe," he said lightly. "Mom worked hard planning this. Don't upset her. I looked into my husband's eyes, and for the first time in 4 years, I didn't see love. I saw a shameless gold digger. A fire started burning in my gut, incinerating the last of my patience. But it wasn't the money that gave me chills. It was their secretive behavior. Mark was constantly texting and smiling at his phone. Linda walked around with a smug look, dropping hints. This birthday will be a huge surprise, Elena, a change you never saw coming. If you've ever had that gut feeling that something bad is coming, hit that subscribe button, because a woman's intuition is never wrong. The fateful night arrived. I put on a red evening gown, did my makeup, and looked in the mirror. Elena, I promised myself, whatever happens tonight, this is the last time you let them use you. I walked downstairs to loud music and the laughter of strangers in my house. Mark was at the bottom of the stairs holding a drink, looking eagerly at the front door. Their surprise had arrived, and it wasn't a gift. I walked down the final steps, forcing a polite smile, the kind I perfected in client meetings, but the scene before me made that smile crack. My 60-square-meter living room was packed. 50 people were crammed in, drinking the expensive French wine I had saved in the cellar for special occasions. The problem? I didn't know a single one of them. No colleagues, no college friends, not even a neighbor. It was all Linda's friends, a club of middle-aged women in gaudy outfits and pot-bellied husbands discussing real estate prices. They looked at me like I was the waitress, not the homeowner. Linda glided over, reeking of perfume, holding a martini. She was wearing a sequined dress that was flashier than mine. "Oh, Elena," she drawled, scanning me judgmentally. "I told you to wear a brighter color. That dark red makes you look old? But whatever. Enjoy yourself." She patted my cheek like I was a failed child and turned away. "Susan, come try the lobster. My daughter-in-law is paying. Eat up." I stood frozen, gripping my wine glass until my knuckles turned white. I found Mark by the bar, laughing with strange men. He was wearing a custom Italian suit, my anniversary gift to him, looking dapper and completely carefree. I approached him, whispering furiously, "Mark, what the hell is happening? Where are my friends? Why is our house a retirement club for your mother?" Mark's smile vanished. "Come on, Elena, don't ruin the vibe. Mom just wanted to invite some friends. Today is a happy day. Stop being so calculating." "Calculating?" I almost screamed. "I paid $5,000 for this circus." "Shh." Mark looked around nervously. "Keep it down. Don't embarrass me. By the way, the special guest is coming. Behave yourself." Special guest? Before I could ask, the doorbell rang. The music stopped. Linda clapped her hands for attention. "Everyone, quiet please. The best part of the evening is here." The heavy oak doors opened. A young woman walked in, maybe 23 or 24. Blonde hair, fake tan, wearing a silver dress so short that if she bent over, everyone would see her anatomy. She looked like she walked out of a Miami nightclub, not a family party. But what stopped my heart wasn't her appearance. It was my family's reaction. Mark immediately abandoned me. He rushed to the door with the brightest smile I'd seen in years. Linda ran over, arms wide open like she was welcoming a returning queen. "Tiffany, darling!" Linda screamed, hugging her. "So glad you made it. You look like a diamond." Mark stood there, staring at Tiffany with undisguised lust. He put his hand on her waist, way too intimate for a guest, and led her into the room. I stood alone in the corner, blood draining from my face. I knew that look. That was the look Mark gave me 5 years ago, when I was the trophy he wanted to win, before I became his wallet. Mark announced loudly, "Everyone, I want to introduce a very special friend of the family. This is Tiffany. She just moved to Austin and she is my new inspiration in work." The crowd clapped. Linda's friends whispered and giggled. Clearly, they knew something I didn't. Mark brought Tiffany over to me. She chewed her gum, looking me up and down with pity. "Hi," she said in a high-pitched voice. "Mark talks about you all the time. You're older than I imagined. Happy birthday, stepmom." I froze. "What did you just call me?" Linda jumped in with a fake laugh. "Oh, she's just joking. Tiffany is straightforward and young, not uptight like you, Elena. Mark needs dynamic people like her for his investment work." "Exactly." Mark nodded, hand still on Tiffany's waist. "Tiffany will be coming over often to discuss business strategy. I think for your birthday, we should open our hearts to a new member. You wouldn't be so petty as to ban my business partner, right, Elena?" I looked at the three of them. My husband, my mother-in-law, and his public mistress, standing like a united front in the house I bought with my blood and sweat. They were laughing in my face, banking on my silence and fear of public embarrassment. Linda ordered a waiter. "Get Tiffany the best wine, and the biggest piece of cake, the one with the pink frosting. She likes it sweet." That was the piece I had saved for myself. In that moment, watching Mark wipe lipstick off Tiffany's glass right in front of me, something inside me broke. Not my heart. That had been cold for a long time. It was my patience that shattered. The submissive, good wife died right there. I took a deep breath. If they wanted to turn my birthday into a show, I would give them a finale they would never forget. I turned around, walked straight to my home office, and locked the door. They thought I was running away to cry. They were wrong. I went in there to make the most important phone call of my life. I leaned against the office door, breathing deep to stop my hands from shaking. Outside, the bass from the music was shaking the paintings on my wall. I pulled out my phone, not to call my mom, but to call David. David is my lawyer. I had him draft a secret legal document 2 weeks ago when I started noticing Mark making shady withdrawals. "Hello, Elena?" David's voice was calm. "It's 9 p.m. Is it urgent?" "David," I said, my voice ice cold. "Activate Plan B, right now." Silence on the other end, then the sound of typing. "Are you sure? Once I send this email and notify the buyers, there is no turning back. You will effectively be homeless, on paper." "I'd rather be homeless than live under the same roof as these parasites for one more minute." "Do it. And call the private security team you recommended. Get them here in 30 minutes. "Understood. Good luck, Elena." I hung up, fixed my makeup, smoothed my red dress, and walked back out. I wasn't returning to surrender. I was returning to watch their final act. The scene in the living room made my stomach turn. Mark and Tiffany were dancing bachata in the middle of the room. Mark had taken off his jacket, tie loose, sweating, holding Tiffany's hips tight. They were grinding on each other in front of 50 guests who were cheering like this was their engagement party. Linda was on the sofa with a karaoke mic screaming, "Go, son! Show everyone the artistic blood in this family." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. The contempt I felt was stronger than the pain. Suddenly, the music stopped. Linda tapped the mic, creating a screeching feedback noise. "Everyone, quiet!" she yelled, face red from alcohol. "I have an important announcement. Another surprise gift for my beloved son and his talented assistant, Tiffany." Mark, panting, held Tiffany's hand and walked over, beaming. I stepped out of the shadows. "What announcement, Mom?" I asked, my voice loud and clear. Linda turned to me, her smile twisted and challenging. "Ah, Elena. Good. I was about to tell you." She cleared her throat and looked me in the eye in front of 50 strangers. "As you know, Mark and Tiffany are collaborating on a crypto project. To make work easier, Tiffany needs a stable place in Austin. So, as the matriarch of this family, I decided Tiffany will move in with us starting tonight." The room went silent. "Move in here?" "The house has 4 bedrooms, but they are full." Where will she sleep? The sofa? Tiffany giggled, snuggling into Mark. Oh, Elena, you're funny. I can't sleep on a sofa. My skin is too sensitive. Linda clicked her tongue. No, Elena, not the sofa. Mark needs a comfortable space to create with Tiffany at night. So, I decided you will move down to the study on the first floor. You work 12 hours a day anyway. You just come home to crash like a machine. Why do you need the master bedroom with the ocean view? Let the young people who know how to enjoy romance have it. I felt like I had been slapped. No. Worse. This was public humiliation at the highest level. They wanted to kick me out of my own bed, in the house I paid for, so my husband could sleep with his mistress on the mattress I chose. Say that again? My voice trembled with rage. You want me to give up the marital bedroom for my husband and his partner? Mark stepped up, arrogant because his mommy was backing him. Come on, Elena, don't be selfish. Tiffany is a guest. Besides, you've been dry and nagging lately. I'm not comfortable sleeping next to you. Go sleep in the guest room for a few weeks. Consider it a trial separation. Maybe distance will be good for us. Exactly, Linda added. If a wife can't sacrifice for her husband's career, she's useless. Oh, and Tiffany didn't bring her toiletries. You have expensive skincare in the master bath, right? Let Tiffany use it. Her skin is young. She needs to maintain it more than you. That was it. The catalyst. They didn't just want my money. They wanted my dignity. They wanted me to service their betrayal. I looked around the room. Strangers were staring, waiting for the old wife to cry and run away. But I didn't cry. Instead, I started laughing. A low laugh that grew louder until it echoed through the silent room. I laughed until I had tears in my eyes. What? Are you crazy? Mark frowned, stepping back. I wiped my eyes and looked straight at Mark, then Linda, then Tiffany. Thank you, I beamed. Thank you for showing me your true faces. Mom, you're right. Someone is moving out of the master bedroom tonight. Glad you know your place, Linda smirked. But it won't be me, I said, my voice sharp as a scalpel. Mark, you want a trial separation? Fine. But we aren't doing a trial. We are doing the real thing. I checked my watch. Security will be here in 3 minutes. You have exactly 3 minutes to pack what belongs to you and get out of my house. And when I say, what belongs to you, I mean your old clothes. The TV, the sofa, the car, and even that wine glass in your hand. Tiffany? I stepped forward, snatched the red wine from Tiffany, and poured it onto the expensive Persian rug at her feet. It all belongs to me. Mark turned purple. He lunged and grabbed my wrist. You dare! Who do you think you are? This is my house. I am your husband. The front doors burst open. 4 large men in black security uniforms marched in, stone-faced. Is there a problem here, Ms. Elena? The captain asked, hand on his baton. The game had officially begun. Mark froze, looking terrified as 4 massive security guards blocked his path. The captain, Roberts, placed a hand on Mark's chest and shoved him back, creating a safety buffer. Don't touch me, Mark yelled, trying to save face. This is a family matter. My wife is drunk and talking nonsense. I laughed coldly. I stepped next to Captain Roberts, finally feeling safe. I am completely sober, Mark, I said calmly. And you're wrong. This is no longer a family matter. This is criminal trespassing. Linda lunged forward. What are you saying, you brat? This is my son's house. Assets are shared. You can't kick us out. I shook my head with pity. Linda, did you forget I bought this house 2 years before marrying Mark? And did you forget that you were the one who forced me to sign a prenup to protect Mark's huge inheritance, which doesn't exist? According to Texas law, this is my separate property. Mark isn't on the deed, hasn't paid a cent of the mortgage, and most importantly, I pointed at the large vintage wall clock. It was 9:15 p.m. Most importantly, I smiled, This house isn't even mine anymore. Dead silence. What? Mark stammered. I pulled a thick envelope from my clutch and threw it on the coffee table. I sold it. Last Monday, I finalized the transfer to a doctor couple from California. The contract is signed, the money is in my secret account, and ownership has officially changed. Mark went pale. Sold the house? But where will we live? Not we, Mark, I corrected. You. In the sale contract, I agreed to a 7-day lease back to clean up. And guess what? That lease ends at exactly midnight tonight. You have less than 3 hours. After midnight, anyone not on the new lease is a criminal trespasser. And trust me, the new owner is a criminal lawyer. He loves putting people in jail. The living room erupted in chaos. The guests put down their drinks immediately. No one wanted legal trouble. Within 5 minutes, Linda's dear friends evaporated. It was just me, security, and the 3 villains standing amidst empty bottles. Liar! Linda screamed, grabbing the papers. Her hands shook as she read the black and white legal text. Impossible. $1.2 million, paid in full. Handover date. Tonight. She looked up at me with venomous eyes. You snake! You sold the house without asking your husband? You're putting us on the street? I tried to ask him. I shot back. But my husband was busy at a strategy meeting with Tiffany at a hotel last weekend. And don't think I didn't know. My private investigator sent me a lovely collection of 4K photos. Tiffany shrieked. Mark, you said you were rich. You said you designed this house. Where are we staying? I'm not staying in a cheap motel. Mark turned to me, his arrogance replaced by pathetic begging. Elena, baby, he pleaded. You're just angry, right? You can't do this. I'm your husband. She's your mother. Tiffany is just, your mistress, I interrupted. And your problem, not mine. I signaled security. Help them pack their personal items. Only personal items. Clothes, toothbrushes, all furniture, electronics, and art were sold with the house. If they try to take anything valuable, consider it theft and call 911. Yes, ma'am. Roberts nodded. I turned to the door. I had packed 2 suitcases with my designer clothes and jewelry that morning and put them in my car. I had been preparing for this for 2 weeks. Stop! Mark yelled, trying to run at me, but a guard tackled him onto the sofa. You can't leave. Who is going to pay for this party? The band isn't paid. The caterers want a tip. I stopped at the threshold. The house I was once proud of looked like a battlefield. Linda was crying on the floor, Tiffany was screaming on the phone, and Mark was pinned to the Italian leather. That belongs to the organizer, I smiled. Happy birthday to me, Mark. The biggest gift you gave me was my freedom. I walked out into the cool night air. I got into my Mercedes and started the engine. But I didn't drive away. I parked across the street, killed the lights, and rolled down the window. I wanted to watch the curtain fall. I wanted to see the new owners arrive. But I underestimated Linda's insanity. From inside the house, the sound of smashing glass began to ring out. I didn't have to wait long. 15 minutes later, the quiet, upscale neighborhood was lit up by red and blue flashing lights. But here's the irony. I didn't call the cops. Mark did. I saw Mark run out, waving frantically at the patrol car. He was playing the abused husband role perfectly. I took off my sunglasses, grabbed my thick legal file, and stepped out. Mark was screaming at a young officer. Arrest her! She's crazy! She hired gangsters to threaten my family and kick my mother out. She lied about selling the house. This is my house. The officer looked at me. Ma'am, are you Elena? This man claims you are trespassing. Officer, I said calmly, handing him my ID and the file. Actually, this man is my soon-to-be ex-husband, and he is attempting to squat in a home that I, the sole owner, have legally sold. Mark scoffed. Don't listen to her. Assets are shared. Texas law protects the husband. You're right about community property, Mark, I said, flipping the file open. But did you forget what your mother forced me to sign 4 years ago? I held up the paper. This is a notarized prenuptial agreement stating that any property purchased in my name is separate property. And here is the deed of sale recorded this morning. The officer shined his flashlight on the documents. Mark's jaw dropped. He had never read the prenup. He only signed it because Linda said it would protect his imaginary assets from me. Paperwork looks valid, the officer said, turning to Mark sternly. Sir, you have no rights to this home. The owner, Miss Elena, can ask you to leave. But my mother is inside. She has a heart condition, Mark stammered. Crash! A massive smashing sound came from inside. What the hell? The officer put his hand on his holster. We ran inside. The scene was shocking. Linda didn't have a heart condition. She had one of Mark's golf clubs and was destroying everything in sight. The 75-inch TV was smashed. My antique Italian vase was in shards. If I can't live here, no one can, Linda screamed, swinging at the liquor cabinet. Drop the club! Police! The officers yelled, drawing tasers. Linda turned, face twisted, and tried to lunge at me. You devil! You destroyed my family! But before she could touch me, an officer tackled her. Click, click. The cold sound of handcuffs. You are under arrest for destruction of property and resisting an officer, the cop announced. Mark stood frozen, but his night was about to get worse. Tiffany, the mistress, was cowering in the corner holding her Louis Vuitton bag, bought with my credit card. Mark, Tiffany said, voice shaking, you said you were a millionaire. You said you designed this house. Tiff, let me explain, Mark begged. Explain what? Tiffany screamed, throwing her wine glass at him. You're a fraud. You're broke. You live off your wife's skirt. I would never date a loser with a crazy mother in handcuffs. She turned to me with a fake smile. Elena, I'm sorry. He tricked me. I'm a victim. Please don't sue me. Get out, I said, before I add your name to the vandalism lawsuit. Tiffany ran out the door, leaving Mark alone amidst the wreckage. At that moment, a black SUV pulled up. A middle-aged couple stepped out. The Parkers. The new owners. Mr. Parker saw the police cars, the broken windows, and Linda being dragged away. He turned red. Ms. Elena, what is happening? We agreed on a pristine handover at midnight. I apologize, Mr. Parker, I said, shaking his hand. But don't worry, I kept the security deposit. And more importantly, I pointed at trembling Mark. That man is fully responsible for tonight's damages. I have police witnesses. I will sue him for restitution. Mr. Parker looked at Mark with disgust. You better get a good lawyer, son. I won't overlook a single scratch. Police put Linda in the car. Mark walked out, head down, looking nothing like the successful businessman from earlier. He looked at me with regret. Elena, where will I go? I have no money, no car. I smiled radiantly. You can walk to the station to bail out your mom, or call Tiffany. Either way, it's not my problem. I walked to my Mercedes. Tonight I would sleep in a 5-star hotel. And tomorrow I would wake up single, rich, and free. The next morning I woke up not to a screaming mother-in-law, but to soft sunlight in the presidential suite of the Four Seasons. I stretched on Egyptian cotton sheets, sipping fresh coffee, feeling a luxury I had forgotten. Peace. My phone buzzed. It was David. Good morning, free woman. He sounded cheerful. I have updates. Good news or very good news first? Very good news, I said, cutting into my Eggs Benedict. Linda was denied bail. The judge didn't like her resisting arrest. She is sitting in county jail waiting for a hearing on felony vandalism. The estimated damage to the house is $45,000. I laughed. Linda, the posh lady, was now wearing an orange jumpsuit and eating bologna sandwiches. And the good news? Mark is losing his mind. The Parkers are tough. They are suing Mark for negligence and breach of contract. And Mark just called me begging you to drop the divorce or lend him money for a lawyer. What did you say? I told him we don't negotiate with gold diggers. Oh, and check social media. Tiffany made your husband a star. I opened TikTok. It was glorious. Tiffany had filmed the whole night. She posted a series titled, How I Almost Dated a Fraud Posing as a Millionaire. The video showed Mark crying to the cops and Linda in handcuffs. Tiffany narrated with fake tears, Stay away from Mark, he owes me $200 for the taxi. It had 2 million views. Comments were brutal. Look at that pathetic man and, the ex-wife is a queen for selling the house. Mark was done. In Austin, reputation is everything. That afternoon, I went to my office building. When I stepped out of the elevator, I saw a figure huddled in the lobby. Mark. He looked wretched. His Italian suit was stained. He clearly hadn't showered. Security stopped him as he lunged at me. Elena, please, he screamed. Just 5 minutes. I motioned security to let him stand 2 meters away. I took off my sunglasses. Mark dropped to his knees, sobbing. I was wrong. Mom manipulated me. Tiffany bewitched me. I only love you. Don't let my mom rot in jail. That is the consequence of her actions, I said. But the money, $50,000. Where do I get that? You're rich, Elena. Use the house money to pay the Parkers and let's start over. I promise to do the dishes. I looked at the man I wasted 4 years on. He had no dignity left, just greed. He didn't miss me. He missed his ATM. Mark, I said softly. Remember the BMW you drove here? Yeah. Why? I canceled the lease this morning. It was in my name, and I told the company where it's parked. Through the glass doors, a yellow tow truck backed up to his BMW. No, no, Mark screamed, watching his last status symbol being dragged away. Where will I sleep? Not my problem, I repeated. And if you come within 100 meters of me again, I will file a restraining order. I walked to the elevator, leaving him screaming outside. The tumor had finally been cut out. 6 months have passed since that fateful birthday. While I am sipping white wine in Santorini, Mark is scrubbing toilets at a diner in East Austin. I heard he still sends letters begging to come back. I framed the first one as a reminder. Never lower your value for cheap people. With the house money and the savings from not supporting parasites, I quit my job and opened my own media consultancy. My first client? Mr. Parker. He was so impressed with how I handled the PR crisis of that night that he signed a long-term contract. Linda didn't escape. She got 2 years probation and 500 hours of community service. The posh lady is now picking up trash on the highway in an orange vest. She had to sell her small house to pay the Parkers and now lives in a run-down rental, shunned by her friends. And Mark? He works at a cheap diner. A friend sent me a photo of him cleaning up vomit while a manager yelled at him. My story ends here. I used to think love was sacrifice, but I was wrong. With narcissists, sacrifice is just an obligation. The more you give, the more they take. Your greatest asset isn't your house or bank account, it's your self-respect. When you dare to set boundaries, that is when you truly start living. The best revenge isn't harming them. It's living a happy, brilliant life without them. Let them watch you shine from the darkness they created. Question for you: do you think selling the house and kicking them out on my birthday was too cruel, or was it exactly the lesson they needed? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more karma stories. Goodbye, and remember, don't let anyone dim your light.